Black Alchemy.
Okay, so my name is Tay.
All right.
And who am I speaking to today?
I am AmpursSand. I am a music producer out of Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
Representing the Genius Party Collective. In the capital city.
Okay, nice. So you were born and raised in North Carolina?
Yes.
That's your stomping grounds?
Yeah. So really, like my whole start was just in the church. Of course, like my father was a musician, so I would help him, just get the sound right and everything like that.
Yeah.
And from there, like I really just started kind of getting into like band and whatnot, just playing the saxophone. I stopped doing that because I wanted to. I really started getting into like guitarists like Jimi Hendrix and Carlos Santana, like. And Clapton, like I really just started getting into that, like psychedelic rock.
Yes.
Jim Morrison, The Doors, like Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those are some of my favorites. So I was like, sax is cool.
Yeah.
Like I grew up listening to Kenny G, but like I want to move to this now. Like and Coltrane, Miles Davis,
Yeah.
Charlie Parker, like all those legends. But I wanted to like start getting into like guitar. So like my dad was like, look, you can't play saxophone and electric guitar at the same time. I'm still paying that saxophone off. So I was like, bet, I'll get out, I can learn the guitar and get good on it, and then try out for jazz band. Mm-hmm. That did not happen, and that's fine. I picked up the bass guitar later, and then I started like getting into like beat making and production. The rest is history after that, around college. So yeah.
So how many years would you say you have been, like, you were pretty much born into music coming from the church. Like, how many years now? Like, how old are you now? How many years would you say you have into this?
So, I just turned 37 recently. So yeah, that's this is cool. I've been
your whole life, pretty much.
I mean, yeah, but like as far as like beat making is concerned, I really kind of started getting into it around like 2007, like when I was really starting to like really like get my feet wet and like settled in it and like started like seeing the growth like sampling wise. Yeah, since 2007. So like it's going on 20 years.
20
almost.
years.
Yeah, like
2 decades. You got it.
Yeah. So like it's wait a minute. No, hold on, it can't be that long, bro.
I feel like it might have. If you would start as a teenager, you're 37 now, then it.
Yeah, it just don't feel like it. It just don't feel like it. So,
that's the journey, though. That's the journey. So, like, coming from, because I was raised in the church as a fellow band geek, a clarinet player. I feel you 100%. How was the transition from music theory? Like, because I'm asking everyone this, like, someone who is trained to listen to music more structurally, coming from an instrument playing background to now going to a more free form art form where you're talking about producing, rapping. Was that a hindrance for you? Do you think it helped you in communicating with other artists from different genres? How did you use that skill set, that muscle?
So it was initially weird at first because like I only did like maybe like 2 years of band and then I stopped. So like the theory, like I knew the basics, but like reading music, I kind of just fell off of that. So like, it wasn't necessarily like really much of a difficult like transition. But when I would talk to musicians, because there was a time in the world where like, and probably still now, where musicians are like, well, beat makers aren't real musicians.
Okay, that's why I'm asking the question, because it's controversial.
You know what I'm saying? And it's fine, like whatever. It's music. It doesn't. It's just music. It doesn't matter how it comes out. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So no, I won't say like it was necessarily a hindrance, but with other musicians, some of them respected, some others wouldn't. Some like wanted to do it and couldn't, and sometimes that's the case too. But it was relatively easy for me, and honestly, I think it helped me a whole lot because it got me thinking about like chopping sample. It made chopping samples a whole lot easier for me because when you do come from that type of background, you are trained to listen to like for particular instruments at a time. Like you want to hear the sax line, so you're just zeroing in on that, like or the bass line. So like things that I pick and choose and chops where it's just like, oh, I love that bass line. Like, let me chop up these notes or these hits and then like rearrange it my own way. So no, it wasn't a hindrance. It kind of helped a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What's something that you've learned, I guess, to more streamline or make your process a little bit more efficient, whether you're sampling or you're going straight from scratch, just straight to the drums and the hi-hats? Like, what is something you've learned that you may give advice to someone first starting out? Like, you spend a little too much time on the drums, I'm gonna need you to redirect your energy elsewhere. What is a hack that you've learned over the years?
I would say, know thyself. First and foremost, know yourself. Know what you like, know what you don't like. Try to imitate that first.
Okay.
Because that's all I did. Like when I started, band, I was trying to play stuff that I just heard, like the Wheel of Fortune theme song. You know what I'm saying? And then once you got that, it's like, oh, should I do that? And it's just like, now you're like, okay, I know what scale that's in. Let me branch out and play that. But like, when it comes to production, no, you really want to like look at your influences and figure out like, okay, how did they make that beat? Like, what should I be listening for? Like, asking yourself questions like, did they play this out? Was it a sample? And if so, what sample was it? Like, listen, like really get into the music and listen first. Listen first. And then when you want to start, just start playing around and finding your workflow. Okay. I know producers that will start with the drums first, and that's a very like neat way of doing things, like for me. But like I would actually just start chopping. I would just literally start like just taking slices.
And for someone who has no fucking idea what we're talking about and doesn't understand the jargon, can you explain to the people what chopping is?
For sure. So when you chop a sample, right? Basically, you're taking a portion of a song that is already made, and then you're breaking it up in different parts, kind of like a puzzle piece, and then you just rearrange it to make it your own. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what I would do. I'd be like, okay, like I got this Gladys Knight song, like Midnight Train to Georgia, and it's just like, dun, 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 and it's just like, dun, dun, like I'll start like elongating notes and like with certain chops and stuff like that. So like when you break it up, you can start playing with it in like some really cool ways if you like learn how it works for you. For me, I normally chop according to drums.
Okay.
So I don't have to start with drums that way. If I know I chop on the kick and I chop on the snare, I know one is going to fall on the 1 and 3, the other one's going to fall on the 2 and 4. Okay. Basically, your 1, 2, 3, 4 count.
Okay.
So that's where the theory comes
I was
back
ready to say, that's where the math starts coming in. And you start losing some people because once you start talking about numbers and all that stuff, and it's feeling based, you kind of like, what the fuck are we talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but we're always talking about the basic rhythms. That's all we're doing.
Interesting. I was talking to a few of the artists earlier about like, when we get hung up on like the drums and like when you first start off with just the stock instruments, I'm an overthinker. So like if the drums aren't hitting the way I want them to hit, because that's all I love is heavy 808s. I love heavy shit. Everything I love is in the lower quadrant of frequency. I dig it. So it's like I was like, what advice would you give to someone who may be getting stuck on a sticking point, like the drums, for example, when you're working with stock or you're working with, just what you have. You haven't gotten to the Ableton level yet. You're still working with backyard boogie shit. You know what I mean? What would you tell someone that's getting caught up on just the drum, because the drums are maybe mean a lot, like you were saying, if you just, chop from that starting point, but you're getting hung up on this is not hitting the way I want it to feel. I need some other drums, but I can't afford to get these drum kits everybody recommended me. What would you do in that scenario?
So I would tell them like, and I know this might sound like simple, but don't get caught up in that shit. Like, we're all cooking. We're all cooking. So like, you're not gonna get caught up in how you're seasoning the sauce over like the meat. Like, you have different like ingredients that you need to put together to make this thing that you want to do. So like, you can go back and fix the drums. Just get the idea down first, and then start adding on later. You know what I'm saying? So like, don't get caught up in like, because it's hip hop. Like, drums are everything.
Yeah.
Drums are everything at the time. But when you like sit down and make something, like just get a general idea and then start building on top of it, and then you can start like coming up with different drum patterns and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. And then you can cut what you want and then cut what you want and then keep what you want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I'd say. Don't get caught up in that.
Yeah.
You know, just focus on the ditch. You know what I'm saying?
Someone, an artist told me a while ago, a few people have been telling me this thing is KISS. It's like, keep it simple, stupid.
Hey, that's real.
And that just keeps replaying in my head because I struggle with keeping it simple. And I think a lot of people do struggle with just keeping it simple because we have so much we want to express and get out that, like you said, just, you know, kind of sometimes you just gotta like move through that hump, that sticking point, or refocus your energy elsewhere because that, you know, you can come back to it.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's interesting.
I know for sure. Like, and verbiage is very so much like very so like much a thing for me. So I'll be like, keep it simple, son. I don't even like to call nobody stupid, you know, because like we're all learning, we're all growing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I'm very particular about verbiage. So
yeah,
like, I get the principle, and I live by it. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So yeah.
Stroll's not gonna lower itself. That was the best Cheerios I ever had in my life. That wasn't no regular Cheerios, was it? No. That had to be Honey Nut. It had to be Honey Nut. It tastes like Honey Nut, tastes like Cheerio, but nuts dipped in honey.